Hello, my name's Meoni and welcome back to another video for Final Fantasy XIV. This time I thought it would be a really good idea to sort of break down what we see inside the patch 5.5 Death Unto Dawn 14 trailer. Now, this in particular made its debut at none other than the latest Letter from the Producer Live, part 63, and it was quite a shocker, honestly. So what I thought we'd do is we'd watch through this in incredibly slow motion. But first of all, we'll go through on normal playback. I'm going to mute the audio on this because, honestly, the storyline referenced in the actual dialogue is all to do with the patch, but we're more interested in what is actually in this first. So what we'll do is we'll play through it without audio on, we'll look at specific things, and then we'll watch through with that audio as well, because there's some other references there. So without further ado, let's have a look at this. So the first thing that we physically see then in the 5.5 trailer, obviously other than the Square Enix logo and the Creative Business Unit 3, who are doing a smashing job, by the way, with these trailers, is this particular cutscene here. We have what appears to be a red star in the sky. That's something to really pay attention to. This could definitely be something foreboding going forward. I'm not really sure what else this is. And we have this particular character reaching out. This is what looks to be like Guardians charging forth. We have a Magitech unit here, obviously, and this is obviously in reference to the Bosnian Southern Front, or at least Zadnor, as it's going to be called, which is a new battle instance, like the battlefield instance in 5.55. That will not be released in 5.5, but actually in 5.5. We're actually going to slow down the playback speed a little bit here, just to 1.5. No, actually, it's 0.5, so half as much. As we can get a better look at this. As the Magitech unit stomps, the camera is shaking a little bit. I find that rather awesome. This definitely gives your impression of a battlefield. If we go back just a little bit there, because it's already racing ahead, we might have to drop this even further. Just down to 0.25. You'll get this particular scene with Fordola. Now, Fordola is definitely being involved in this storyline, and that's good. That's a good thing to see. Obviously, if you don't remember Fordola, she is essentially trying to redeem herself after working against, Alamigo and, helping the occupation. But she is, since then, sort of reformed. She is actually a resonant, which appears to be all manner of questions in relating to what exactly that means. But she will have a huge part of this, since her and Xenos actually share quite a bit here. Alphino looking quite dejected here. Not really sure what's going on. She's giving him some tough love by the looks of it, and the audio that we'll play in a bit. But she is very much just like trying to give him a wake-up call. That's what the push here is all about. I see a lot of people on the internet saying, finally, Alphino's getting a smack round the face. This is kind of like tough love. So I'm not sure what's happened. Maybe Alice has been captured or something. I have no idea. But it definitely looks like he needs that. So here we are then in one of the cutscenes. This will be presumably, again, with all the floating stuff, this will be to do with Zadnor itself. We're on that battlefield. I don't think it's for anything else. We have the Guardians, obviously. This is Zadnor in its entirety. We've got Magitech units fighting resistance members. This floating debris, by the way, is supposed to be in reference to Midas. So Sid's father, and the experiment that they used caused this devastation, if I remember correctly. So here's the Magitech unit taking on. We've got some airships in the background of obviously the Guardians, making sure their presence is known. Then we have this very interesting eruption of light, basically. I'm not sure what's going on here. It does look like there's a floating. Perhaps this is then a flashback of something, or maybe, I don't know what this could even be. Alphino is clearly there, something to do with all of this ether or something. I'm not sure what's going on. Not a clue. Absolutely not a clue. Something bad is very clearly happening here, and I can't quite understand what is going on, really. yeah, maybe flashback sequence, maybe like some strange cutscene. But it seems to me that Alphino is very upset. Is this going to be bad news for Alice? I don't know, but Alphino is really, really just not taking this well as he pounds that dead Garlean corpse there, or at least unconscious Garlean, on the floor. Sort of like, what is this all for? We get the Shadowbringers logo coming into play here as it fades in, as we've slowed it down. And the next thing we see is, as we go to about 38, 39 seconds, will be Zadnor itself. So this is a big airship that is docked in Zadnor itself. Myself and a few others are speculating that this will be the new fortress. They did confirm during the live letter that 5.55 will contain a new Castrum Lacus Latore type critical engagement. So this is basically a dungeon, but not a dungeon. It's just another critical engagement like Lacus Latore. And this is that enormous airship, which is absolutely fantastic looking. So presumably this will be at the center of the battlefield, and we'll have to either storm this or something related to this. And if I remember correctly, Gabramp is supposed to be in charge of this particular airship, if I got my lore correct there. But the Resistance obviously charging forward. We got some bosses here. This looks like a boss of some description. Another one of those flight units. As we hurtle towards, these are obviously players hurtling towards this particular critical engagement, or maybe storyline segment. This then does actually look like it's inside the airship itself, which further makes me believe that this is the actual critical engagement. We have robots in here, really cool models. Look at this being flamethrowered, this like weird robot here. Some Magitech that we've never seen before here, with like the conical base and this particular sort of like traffic light head design on these robots. Very, very cool. This then is Chichulane, right? Chichulane, or whatever, however you want to pronounce that. So yet another one of the Final Fantasy XII bosses. If you remember in the previous, we got, what was it, Fenrir? Is it Fenrir that we were fighting against? No, it was Adramelech. Adramelech is the one we fought against in Castrum Lacus Latore, so this makes perfect sense. This is Chichulane from 12, or the Zodiac Age, probably with that model. Belly flopping the floor. We have these horrible puddle things coming out of the hole. So this might be similar to the actual other Chichulane fight we have in the game inside Void Ark, right? If I remember correctly. That belly flop, though. Look at him. He flops down and he's like, boing, boing, just like, and then boings again, look. He's just boinging around. That is such a good shot, though. But that's definitely the Zodiac Age model that they've incorporated here, which is fantastic. I love the setting as well, with, again, looking like we're inside the airship itself or a building. This then flipping back to Alice. We've got some kind of thing going on here. I have absolutely no idea. This is definitely one of the beast tribes. If you remember correctly, actually, I think this is like a focus, isn't it? A foci to try and untemper the beast tribes from their primal. That's the entire storyline recently, isn't it? That's what we're going with. We've got a crystal, attached to Grohatir there. So we're using the Porxies to basically try and cure all of these beast tribes. That looks like a member of the NAF, right? And the Vanu, etc. So, yeah, it does look like we're going to be trying to untemper these particular dudes from their primals. Another shot here of Zadnor. So this is the battlefield outside of this place. Another really cool-looking blade-wielding flight unit there. That looks absolutely badass. Oh, they're actually wings, aren't they? I thought they were blades. I can't wait to see that big airship up close. I think that's a really beautiful piece of design. And again, once again inside with what looks like security grid lasers. Kind of like, the Dreadnought Leviathan in Final Fantasy XII, if any of you have played that, where it had the security grid beams. That's what it looks like then. So it's going to be quite fun, I think, to be inside one of those airships. I can't wait. I quite liked Castrum Lacus Latore, so it's going to be fun. So here we are again, more Resistance stuff. We're a Hrothgar. This is probably from cutscenes relating to that storyline. Remember, the Save the Queen stuff is not over. We got Leon here. We defeated his pet, basically, in Lacus Latore, but he's very much still a problem that we have to deal with his, fiery axe there. And, of course, we got Makoto sort of cheering us on. There we are, an airship. I'm not sure what this bubble is that we're casting here, but there we go. Further in proof, then, that this is part of an airship. If you've played 12, this will be very familiar to you, this sort of deck design. I can't wait. A critical engagement, which is basically a raid without being a raid sort of instance inside a dungeon, like a battlefield. Great fun. So there's obviously more storyline related to this. I can't really 100% guess what's going on here, but Leon is seemingly taking a bigger part in this. Maybe there's another artifact that will make Leon a badass, I don't know. This, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to guess what this is, because I don't think this is necessarily related. I'm not sure. We have all of these hieroglyphic type writing and scratch marks all over this stone. I think they're scratch marks, right? I'm not sure what's going on there. Probably part of the artifact. This is a cool looking boss or monster. We've got missile launchers like SAM sights on its shoulders, this cool-looking metal face. It looks like a transformer. It looks like Megatron, basically. It's badass. Look at his background as well with these huge, almost Coil of Bahamut-type pipes, that we've got on board the airship with the green sort of segmenting there between all of the wires. More Fordola then, so this will be your main storyline stuff for 5.5. Fordola looking, well, I don't know. I guess they're going to be turning Fordola into the badass that she was supposed to be. This, then, is Estinian. Estinian's taking a good guide over her. Remember, Estinian will become a scion in 6.0. So, I don't know. Will Fordola become a scion? Does Fordola have an interesting part to play? Who knows? This, then, is from the new Nier raid, coming in 5.5. Which, of course, if you played Nier Automata, then you would recognize the grayscale boxing here. This is designed, obviously, to look like the inside of that tower. And, of course, this is how we get through that tower, navigating almost Escher style of these up and down stairs to boss platforms. Looks very cool. I'm quite happy with this. I can't wait to see. Also, look at these checkpoint crystals, the save crystals that you unlock when you defeat a boss. Very cool. These, like, weird hexagonal cube things. Obviously, that's a character that I won't mention for obvious reasons from Nier Automata. But people who've played that will recognize this particular AI. So there we go. This, then, is one of the battles inside the raid, the Nier raid. Not sure what to expect here. It's got, like, is these hoofs? I'm not sure what's going on here. Hoofs, massive suit of armor, shield, and, like, curved sword pokey sticks. They look really cool, but I'm not sure what they are. This should be recognizable. This is Jack, then. You see him in the Nier Replicant trailer, and obviously in Nier Replicant as a, quite common occurrence from that storyline. So he's in this. They're totally not trying to sell you more copies of Nier Replicant when it comes out, which myself have pre-ordered. I'm going to play that on stream. Look at all these balls, by the way. Anywhere apart from a safe zone just gets absolutely saturated with balls. More from a storyline. We've got 9S, 2B, and then the Warrior of Darkness / Light. This is what the tower looks like from the outside. So this is basically sprouted perhaps from that egg thing that we saw, the big circle thing, probably. Unless it just pops out of the ground. But this, again, in the background is the remnants of the previous raid. It looks very cool. And this is one of the actual battles against the AI, as you can see. So they've made this into an actual fight. It seems like it chains characters and then tries to control them. Look, there's like mechanics where it's moving you around. You've got AoEs to avoid. This looks absolutely insane. Look, she's dragging the chains around. So like you have to pull them away to be dragged in. This then is the next scene from, of course, the Sorrow of Wurlit storyline. We have ourselves the Ultimate Warrior, like robot, carried by this large flight unit thing next to Sid's airship, which looks absolutely incredible, doesn't it, really? Next, we've got more Alphano stuff, so I'm not sure what's going on here. This looks like another battlefield. I love this grass. The sky is on fire here, by the way, from the sunset. But there we go, more foreshadowing. That's a really good screen, actually, isn't it? With these towers, which a lot of people, including myself, are basically elaborating that we're going to be seeing the Lunar Cry from Final Fantasy VIII, which is essentially these beams are all aimed up at the moon, and then the moon will become red, and nasties will come out of it, basically. They will come towards the planet, perhaps, in an invasion-style sequence. But this is alarming. This is the most alarming thing to me out of the entire trailer. Now, earlier on, we saw Alphano looking very upset. Now we see Alice in an almost hologrammatic form, looking like, you'll be fine. Never forget me, sort of situation. Now, I'm not saying Alice is going to die in this patch, but this is really, really quite suspicious, isn't it? Also, it's kind of like she's not really here, sort of thing. Like she's being vaporized, like she's disappearing or something. I'm not sure. Maybe this is a red herring. These trailers are always designed to look the worst, like they're deliberately to make you elude the first, but she's kind of transparent. She's not really a thing, and then they cut straight to Diamond Weapon. This cutscene is fantastic, by the way. Look at Diamond's face. Fantastic. Diamond is being pursued then by Sid, the airship, and of course the Ultimate Warrior. And we've got ourselves this amazing bit here where the Diamond Weapon literally kicks a missile out of the sky. That's like the best thing I've ever seen in my life. And it just explodes. This is the actual fight itself then. So it looks like we've got two platforms. When Yoshi P showed us in the live letter, it was just one big platform. He says as soon as it pulls, it will create a spoiler. But I think the spoiler is that it actually separates like this, and you'll be jumping between platforms. Like you got these sort of like rings on the floor. So maybe these lasers, like the arm laser, covered this place, and people had to jump to the other one. Otherwise, they'd be knocked off. And you can fall off this platform as well. So it definitely looks like unavoidable damage unless you jump to the other platform. And this is obviously something else, another mechanic where you've got people on multiple platforms. We've got a healer over here, and then we've got some of the other characters like the tank over here with this tri-laser sort of thing. Maybe certain mechanics can only be done on certain platforms. I'm not sure. The extreme of this is going to be really exciting to see. We have ourselves a stack marker, obviously, so there's going to be stack markers on this as well, to absorb the damage from whatever that big blast is. Yeah, here's a bit of foreshadowing of the storyline of the person inside said machine, or at least we think that's who's inside the machine, although it's not, guaranteed. They like to pull, Then we've got this, which looks to be like Diamond Weapon is exploding. Now, the thing that you have to remember here is it's actually, the name of this trial is Operation Capture Diamond Weapon rather than a kill quest. That's something they mentioned in the live letter. They want to capture this to try and keep the person alive inside of it. So they're trying to prevent it from going into Oversoul. Now, Oversoul is where the bosses transition into the second phase at the expense of the life force of the person piloting it. So this very much looks like we've shattered that Oversoul before it happened, and I believe this is designed to pull in the weapon and then close these airship doors behind it as a capture thing. Gaius probably having his last stand against the guy I can't remember from the Sorrow of Wurlit storyline. More Diamond Weapon looking awesome with that big chest laser. That looks to be quite interesting. I love that animation, by the way. And just unleashes, just absolutely unleashes. We get a fade to black. Then we see Alice and Alphano, the obviously Gratia and us. There's a Gridanian flag in the background there. This is Gimlet Dark. This is the staging, like the front lines. We've got Y'shtola, obviously Urianger, Estinian's now part of the Scions, and we've got Thancred here. So this is like the meeting of the Scions, preparing presumably for the events to come. This is Pagalfarn, which is actually a zone as well as now a dungeon. The zone on the map, at least on the world map, is obviously to the east of Thanalan, and that's where the tower is in particular, in the middle of that place, and this is where you'll find the Amaljam. And presumably the untempering, let's call it, isn't going too well. We also have this Garlean installation as part of the dungeon, question mark? This still very much looks like Pagalfarn to me. So, storyline related devastation. This then is the thing that really, really gets me going. So this is Tiamat. Now, Tiamat's entire reason for being chained, if I remember correctly, was that if she was ever unchained, she would just try and seek revenge for what existence did for Bahamut, her consort, her mate. If you don't know about the storyline of Bahamut, then I suggest you go and do the Coil of Bahamut storyline. With the idea of Lunar Bahamut existing, that will most likely be the reason that these bonds are finally broken. And Tiamat very clearly does not like the idea of her good friend Bahamut being impersonated or whatever. So this, again, looks more like Pagalfarn or somewhere else in the storyline, more of this untempering storyline. We've got Grahatir being a badass with a shield there. This looks to be more of a dungeon, I think. This then is really interesting. So, okay, so in Final Fantasy IV, a big part of an optional dungeon in that game was that basically every character went into a trial, right? That ended up with a lunar version of a summon from the game. So these were like hard difficulties. Think of like Dark Aeons from Final Fantasy X, right? If you've played that as a comparison. But in Final Fantasy IV, there was a lunar version of Titan, Shiva, the Mist Dragon, Odin, Azura, Ifrit, Bahamut, Ramu, and Leviathan. This is Lunar Ifrit. It just is. You can tell. Look at that face. And you can also tell by the fact that they've got the, purple color stuff. So this is very interesting. So this is going to further elaborate on the idea that this is going to be a Final Fantasy IV inspired expansion, if you didn't already think that, for 6.0. And this is going to be the lead up to it, showing all of the lunar primals. So presumably what's actually happened is, as we're trying to untemper these things, what's actually happened is those towers, obviously to do with Zodiac and the rest of it, have empowered the primals or given like a lunar version of them. I don't know. This is Fan Daniel's doing, basically. They look to be quite interesting, and it does look like these are going to be a problem in terms of us being able to untemper the beast tribes. We got 4 Dola there facing off against a lunar Ifrit. We've got a massive beam of energy flashing by the airship there. And, there's all kinds of things going on here. This then, another wonderful example. This is actually Lunar Odin, as you can see. So, people who might have missed this in the actual trailer before, this is the lunar version of Odin. Again, we're fighting this by the looks of it. Interesting. It'll be interesting to see how many of these are solo duties and how many are obviously, we got ourselves dragons here. Yeah. Here's a Lunar Ravana. How cool is that? Lunar Ravana. I really like this, especially with sort of pink and purple tipped blades there and the purple eyes. Yes, I cannot wait to see the purple super knacker and the massive devastation that this is going to cause. And Grahatir is sort of like floating around here as he's got Prelude to Slaughter going on here. This is an interesting one. So we've got us flying over Pagalfarn, so maybe as part of the dungeon or maybe as a solo duty. I'm not sure what's going on here. Look how beautiful this particular scene is. This is obviously Pagalfarn, actually, because of the tower. But, I believe this is Tiamat, right? And this is us on a Wyvern. Very, very cool. This is like probably one of the best introductions to this dungeon. Perhaps Tiamat will actually accompany us on this. There's Luna Bahamut, and there's obviously Tiamat fighting it out. They're not having the best of reunions, obviously, because Luna Bahamut, not exactly the Bahamut that she remembers. This is kind of epic. Look at this epic duel off. Hopefully Tiamat doesn't get destroyed by Luna Bahamut. Look at how cool that is. This was my favorite part of the from the trailer, absolutely. Just a burst of flame. Luna Bahamut just going psycho. It does look like this is part of a battle that we have. So it looks like we're fighting through these Luna versions. I can't think of a better series of bosses. And then we get the fade to the purple, which is deliberately purple, by the way, that Luna color. So this is like the Luna sort of patch. As you can see, we've got some symbols there. There's Ifrit again, I believe, right? Being fought against. The Luna Ifrit. Very, very cool. I'm just like... And then we've got green, by the way. I'm not sure what the green signifies. It was very obvious what that was. Maybe this is the oh yeah, the grand companies have different colors, don't they? This then is an interesting scene. It now starts to flick through scenes. Xenos, last time we looked at him, he was looking for a weapon to use against our Warrior of Light / Darkness, a worthy weapon. He snapped his blade. He's just sort of been sat around. And in the Endwalker trailer, we kind of, guessed that he would be using a scythe. So if you want to look at those weapons for a second, I don't actually see a scythe in the room. I was trying to rack my brain looking at all of these different weapons, trying to go, where's the scythe, Xenos? I'm trying to speculate where he's put the scythe, but maybe in the background somewhere. But these are really cool models. Some of these like Gordius, etc., and you might recognize some of these weapons, but it's kind of like if Xenos has gone and done his relic quests for every class as well. he knows exactly how he's going to spend his time until the expansion, exactly like me, doing endless amounts of resistance weapons. But I thought this was quite funny, and he picks up this blade and he's like, is this blade any good? Then we got obviously this scene here, which, by the way, can we just look at that just carefully? Who is this character? That is the big question on my mind. So this is a spectral figure. Is this Hydaelyn? Is this Vanar? Is this Minfilia? Is this... Who is this? Now it tries to fade you away just before you figure out who this is. Look, the screen starts to fade instantly. So this is going to be an important character and possibly a return of a character we know or something alluded to. It's clearly wearing a robe. I have no idea what this is. But this is key, I think, to the storyline. And they fade away just before you get to see anything exciting. Obviously red for the Maelstrom. We got Uldar, which is sort of like a browny red colour. We get a picture of the moon, further sort of declaring that the moon is going to be, a bigger component going forward, obviously, with Endwalker. But there's some interesting dialogue played over this that we'll talk about in a second. Then we'll see, look, the planet. This is actually Hydaelyn on fire. We also have this scene, as people have already shown. This is basically the logo itself with the meteor symbol. And each part of that gap in the meteor symbol represents one of the leaders itself. Which shouldn't come as any sign. We also had a little red comet flying by, which obviously, they're reenacting the final days of Amarot, basically. So the world is about to burn and be engulfed in lots of war and fire, and probably from the stars above, right? From the moon itself. So that's pretty much everything from this trailer. So there we go. Hopefully I've broken down that quite well in terms of visuals. Let's listen to the audio now. And hopefully I won't get a copyright strike. Probably. Oh yeah, I forgot that we're on like fast forward. There we go. By the way, the music on this track is incredible, and I can't believe that Soken's pulled it off again.
Our adversary moves against us in unprecedented numbers.
Our adversary moves against us in unprecedented numbers, yeah.
Compelling us to answer in kind.
Compelling us to answer in kind. I'm not sure whose voice that is. I think that might be Alphino's, maybe the new voice actor.
The outlook, in short, is bleak.
The outlook, in short, is bleak. That definitely sounds like Alphino.
Yet though our foes are many, and we but few.
Though our... Yeah, basically, we don't have many people to fight back, right?
We may still tip the balance in Eorzea's favor.
Cool. The Zadnor music, absolutely beautiful. The whole trailer music is fantastic.
Given the enemy's capabilities, we will all need to play our part if we are to have any...
That's obviously Raban's voice.
...chance of success. For if any here should give less than their best, it will be to the cost of every living being on this star.
So basically, if we fail, everybody dies on the entire planet. Gotcha.
You've got a pretty narrow view of what it means to be a hero, do you know that?
Which is rich coming from Fordola, who appears to have a new voice actress as well, because I don't recognise that, but they're definitely trying to do that, aren't they? You know, nothing, Jon Snow, like that voice, but she seems to be a different person, unless that person has got a different, I don't know, intonation in her voice recently.
You think they're all forged in the fires of battle?
Yes, we were forged in the, in battle. That's where we're proving ourselves.
But it's all about being brave and killing villains.
So that looks like she was actually talking directly to Estinian. Estinian's following her. She accuses him of not basically being worthy of being a hero or something. Very rich, but Estinian is a badass. He's the untold hero of Stormblood if you've seen all the cutscenes.
I know you would never turn your back on those in need.
I know that you'd never turn your back on those in need. I'm not sure whose voice that is either. It sounds like an old man, an old gentleman.
Never close your eyes to their suffering.
Never close your eyes to their suffering. Again, I'm not sure whose voice that is. Please tell me in the comment section if you know.
What in Ralga's name happened here?
What in Ralga's name happened here? It's not like Arenvold, right? Or anybody like that, is it?
The battlefield's littered with would-be heroes. At this rate, you'll lot be next.
That music.
Destroy them! Destroy them all!
That's Fandaniel's voice telling the lunar summons to destroy them all.
Don't you dare! We came together and we're leaving together!
Don't you dare, we came together and we'll leave together. Is that foreshadowing of Fordola making a sacrifice to Arenveld? Because if you don't know, there is a side story where Fordola and Arenveld have been fighting the Beast Tribes ever since we've been left for Stormblood zones, and they were fighting off against like Ifrit and stuff. That side story does exist, so they've become best buddies, basically. I hope Fordola isn't just going to be sacrificed for the purpose of plot progression, personally.
While I await you, I shall drink a sea of souls.
I shall drink a sea of souls. So Xenos is trying to absorb as much power as possible?
And gorge myself upon the darkened moon.
Gorge myself upon the darkened moon. Again, furthering the idea then that a moon could be transitioning into something completely different, and, you know, everything is pointing towards a Luna cry, in my opinion. And there we go. So yeah, there's a reason there's over 22 million people playing this worldwide. It's absolutely fantastic, isn't it? So let's go over a few things then, just a TLDR. Basically, the new content, such as Zadnor, looks fantastic. That's not coming until 5.55, which will be in May, as the second part of a patch. In 5.5, we're getting a Nier raid and a storyline with Pagelfarn included, and the Sorrow of Warlight with that trial. The storyline is obviously the most hyped thing about all of this, and the speculation is rife at the moment. How we're going to go to the moon is the other question, presumably as part of either an airship or perhaps even something to do with Tiamat. Hopefully Tiamat is not just a returning character that we, you know, see unveiled and then sacrificed. I hope they're not sacrificing Fordola, but it's possible. The Alisaie thing is making me question everything with that weird sort of, you're alluding to the fact that she might die at this point, even though that's very unlikely to happen. That dungeon, Pagelfarn, looks like past the first boss. We're just going to have a boss rush of lots of different primals, unless they're solo duties. But it looks like Fandaniel is absolutely losing his mind, going crazy, trying to kill us. And can we survive? But yes. Just as a reference then, obviously Final Fantasy IV, where these Luna versions come from, that idea of the Luna versions of Odin, etc. You got to remember in Final Fantasy IV, that optional dungeon actually took place on the Red Moon, which was an artificial moon that was the home of the real Bahamut, which is actually where they took the inspiration for Dalamud for our game. So there's a lot of tie-ins there with Final Fantasy IV, but there's also quite a few references I think you'll find to Final Fantasy VIII. I wouldn't be surprised if the new Pandora raid in the future, what's it called? Pandemonium, sorry, is actually part of Lunatic Pandora, if you've played Final Fantasy VIII. Either way, I'm very hyped. That's what we've got from this patch. Let me know if I've missed anything, if I'm right or if I'm wrong, what you think will happen. Hopefully this breakdown was helpful. Oh, I'm loving this storyline so far. Obviously, as soon as the patch goes live, we'll be streaming on twitch.tv/Meoni, and I will be giving my first impressions to that storyline as soon as the patch comes out. Much love. Enjoy the rest of your week. Of course, there will be a link in the description to this particular trailer. Go watch it, enjoy it, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.